if you're one of our haters who are out there watching.
I want to warn people about hypnoporn.
I need to stay meta.
Like, what?
If Jim would shut up for a second.
Oh, high fidelity.
Okay, don't tell me to shut up.
I'm not whining.
I eat doggies. I eat doggies.
Feels like a party.
Stop that.
It's a war. They have made it so that I cannot be celebrating July 4th.
This is 6 Degrees of Stew. You don't need to stay meta, but I'm glad you're here. Welcome to 6 Degrees of Stew, the podcast that unpacks disinformation, misinformation, extremism, and conspiracies from the unique vantage point of the Stewniverse, home to Stewanon and Blueanon. Before we continue today, a brief disclaimer. The views and allegations discussed in this podcast are based on publicly available information and are presented for informational and analytical purposes. Listeners are strongly encouraged to conduct their own further research, consult original legal documents for specific case details, and critically evaluate all sources for a comprehensive understanding. This podcast aims to provide a balanced overview of a complex subject, acknowledging both TST's stated goals and criticisms leveled against it. Let's begin. Internal conflicts and departures. The persistence of these accusations, coupled with documented internal disagreements and a pattern of high-profile departures by former members, highlights the inherent challenges of maintaining ideological purity and unity. Accusations of financial mismanagement and lack of transparency. Internal critiques have highlighted accusations of financial mismanagement and a pervasive lack of financial transparency within TST's organizational structure. Jinx Strange's email, for example, explicitly mentioned, quote, dozens of people kicked out for asking for financial records from this alleged nonprofit organization. Critics have also pointed to TST's status as a 501c3 nonprofit, which entails certain transparency requirements. This perceived disconnect between TST's anti-authoritarian philosophy and its internal hierarchical model has been a consistent point of friction. These concerns, alongside the alt-right allegations and claims of sexual abuse cover-up, have led to numerous high-profile departures from TST, including members from its national council, local chapter leaders, and prominent activists. These departures often come with public statements detailing disillusionment with TST's leadership, perceived hypocrisy, and lack of accountability. Adding another layer of perspective, Stephen Bradford Long, who was a TST member from December 2017 until 2024, offered a defense for his continued involvement at the time in the organization. He acknowledged the accusations of crypto-fascism, alt-rightism, and Nazism leveled against TST and specifically addressed concerns about Doug Misicko's past anti-Semitic rant and his associations with controversial figures. Long also touched on the controversy surrounding Misicko's illustration of might is right. Despite these criticisms, Long argued that Misicko's past attitudes had been, quote, redeemed by his current convictions. He posits that many criticisms against Misicko and TST are results of what he terms, quote, contagion leftism, suggesting that some detractors are driven by a desire to avoid perceived ideological contamination rather than engaging with TST's current actions or stated principles. The Queer Satanic article, Why You Haven't Left the Satanic Temple, directly critiques Stephen Bradford Long's defense of Doug Misicko, arguing that his portrayal of the issues within TST as less serious than they are and his attempt to redeem Misicko's past problematic behavior are insufficient and fail to address the core concerns. Legal scrutiny. TST's activism frequently involves legal action, both as plaintiffs and defendants. These lawsuits are central to their strategy of challenging religious privilege and asserting their rights. Defamation lawsuits. TST versus Newsweek Magazine LLC. TST filed a defamation lawsuit against Newsweek Magazine LLC. As of March 26, 2025, the District Court for the Southern District of New York granted dismissal of TST's claims. Doug Masicko, through his Substack, has provided his perspective on the specific Newsweek lawsuit, claiming that Newsweek published a false, damaging story and lost in court. Separately, the Newsweek article, Orgies, Harassment, Fraud, the Satanic Temple Rocked by Accusations lawsuit, specifically reports on TST's lawsuit seeking $140,000 in damages from former members, posting as Queer Satanic, for defamation, alleging that they used TST's Facebook pages to spread claims about financial mismanagement, harassment of dissenters, tolerance of anti-Semitism, abuse of leadership, and the organization being a cult-like group. This highlights the complex legal battles TST engages in to protect its reputation. TST versus Queer Satanic. TST also initiated a defamation lawsuit against Queer Satanic, which Queer Satanic confirms has been dismissed in both Federal District Court and King County Superior Court. This is an excerpt from an interview I conducted with David from Queer Satanic. So my friend Quacks contacted me, and that's how, we started talking and about this project with the Satanic Temple. And I was not aware that they were suing anybody. I didn't know about the Newsweek lawsuit. I never heard of Queer Satanic. And you guys finally have a resolution right now. Do you want to tell us about the beginning of all this, how it happened, and the resolution now?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the resolution is simple. We won. We
right?
we kicked their asses and they had to eat our shit. So there's that. I mean, how it started is complicated in the sense that, like, when this started, fundamental issues that bubbled up kind of all got pulled into it. And so really, I mean, the first thing I can think of that happened was finding out that we were not a collective, our local group was not a collective that elected leadership, and we didn't have real committees with authority. There was just two people that could unilaterally remove members. That was kind of a shock. And then shortly after that, there was a former member of our local who had been sexually harassed during their time there, and yet we kept using their image to promote ourselves. They had asked us to stop, we said we would, and we kept doing it.
Oh gosh.
The final example of this was not intentional, it wasn't direct, but the person was still hurt by all these previous times. And I and a couple of people who's our committee, such as it was managing members and former members, making sure that people were taken care of, just recommended that we give an apology, say, hey, we didn't intend to do this. The thing that you interpreted was not our intention with it, but it was hurtful to you. We're sorry. And that did not happen, in part because one of the people that would have had to apologize was the girlfriend of one of the two people that actually was in control. So that was some of the background for this. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that, one of my co-defendants got insulted by the other head person via email. It said that he was fucking up and that he was lazy and all of this stuff. And so Jesus. In response to that, and also the fact that they had our social media presence was what I had more or less been in control of. And they had said that we could not criticize transphobia because it was not central to our mission or whatever. This was new. This was saying you can't talk shit about TERFs. So that was a new thing. And so in response to that, my co-defendant removed the other administrators of a memes page, and put out a statement saying they say, I could find the statement again, the particular one, but basically we're not a part of TST anymore, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
In response to that, of him doing this, our local kicked out him, his spouse at the time, me, my partner at the time, someone else who had been kind of leading the kind complain about the like past sexual harassment and the way the leadership was handling that. That person got kicked out. And then also Nathan Sullivan, my co-defendant, who just got CC'd in an email. He had been a member for 5 years. Like he had helped found the organization, and they kicked him out because I don't know. He was on sabbatical. Like he had wrecked his car a few months before and been like, I need a break. And so he just got kicked out of the organization without any vote or conversation or reaching out. He's like, couldn't log into a Discord server anymore. That's how he found out.
Just you're done.
You're done. That's right. Yeah. And so then in between, so that happens. And over the next week, there's fallout because, like, again, Nathan was particularly beloved. He'd been around for so long. And no one, like, they were trying to like damage control this as they do. So they were trying to like meet and talk to each other, say they being the local leadership and like their group. They were trying to explain to everybody else, hey, this is no big deal. This is fine. Trying to like, control the narrative. And, you know, basically lying. But as this happens, some of the people that have been kicked out recently, and also other people that were leading over this got together, also people who had left TST since 2018 or whatever, and just started comparing notes about things. And I learned a lot more about TST's national leadership at that time. I knew some of it, but I thought they were kind of like way over there and not actually in control. They were in Salem, Massachusetts. We were in Seattle, Washington.
Right.
I thought, you know,
You had some autonomy, and it was just kind of,
Yeah, it turns out. But also, they had not removed me as administrator of the chapter Facebook page, even after all of this stuff. So this the thing that had happened with a like memes page that had gotten like repurposed from a local group that TST Seattle had taken over. There was like a regional South Sound group that TST had like absorbed and then kicked out the leadership of. So I mean, it was already like kind of a gnarly situation there. But then like this had just happened, and it's a week later, I still have admin privileges, and I think I reached out to like one of the groups that had left in 2018. It was TST Portland, had just become Satanic Portland, and I was like, hey, it's like, what happened when like y'all left with your social media? and they're like, it's fine. I think those guys didn't get a legal threat. I found out later that some of the 2018 people did get legal threats sent to them, but Satanic Portland didn't, so they didn't warn me. And so then I kicked off the other admins of the TST Washington page, Facebook page, and started posting like things that people from 2018 had posted about their time leaving, why they did, the sort of like structural abuses, the like misogyny, racism that was present in TST. I posted critical news articles from 2018. Like Jezebel, I think, was one of them, and maybe BuzzFeed. But it was like saying, like, these guys hired Mark Randazza, who was Alex Jones's favorite lawyer. And this is like the latest in a long line of alt-right friendly things they've done.
Yep.
So those news articles, I posted like Doug's statement in defense of the neo-Nazi Satanist Augustus Sol Invictus. Like, these are his own words.
Yeah.
I think I also posted about Kevin Soling being a cargo cult messiah and some of the other corporations that he owns, which was like, I think I posted Alliance for Integrity and Justice. That's his like Zionist nonprofit.
Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff got wiped because even though they sued us to like get a Facebook page back, all they had to really do was send a request to Facebook. And like Facebook owns Facebook pages. Like you don't, I don't. TST doesn't own a Facebook page. Facebook owns them. And so like they sent up a ticket, and I think so all the things I'm telling you about, this is like February and March of 2020. So this is like right as COVID is hitting and like shutting down the world. and by May of 2020, they have their chapter page. They've wiped all the criticism of it. It's like it never happened. But they are suing us in federal district court. We get a dismissal for the first time in February of 2021
over mean words and truth.
Yeah, exactly. And like they were saying it was hacking. I think so. I'm trying to remember the timeline of, because they changed what they were accusing us of several times in contradictory ways. And I'm trying to remember if the hacking claim was first. I don't think it was. I think they said initially that I had exceeded my authority. And like violated like some contract I had signed, but they didn't have a copy of the contract that I had signed. They didn't even, like, the blank one that they submitted didn't even say what they said it did. They accused defamation, but like they were never specific about it. They just said this creates like a negative characterization of us. It's like, yeah, the things that you said and did, and the things other people have said about you.
Yeah.
But it was a slap. It was a strategic lawsuit against public participation. The purpose was not to actually like have any merit to it. It was just to be expensive, and it was quite expensive. So we thought in February 2021, since they had the Facebook page they wanted, that would kind of be the end of it. Like they had already made us spend by that point probably $60,000, $80,000. I mean, I'm trying to remember what the time it was. But you have to retain a lawyer. They have to do like the background work to like keep answering things. Like that's all happening. But TST did not let it in there. They refiled. So when you get things dismissed in court, sometimes they're dismissed with prejudice. That means that you can't bring it back. But if they're just dismissed regularly, you're allowed to fix your problems and get another crack at it. And so they did that. They amended it. And I'm trying to remember the timeline now because it's been a few years. But I think this lasts all the way until January of 2023. It gets dismissed again because they also in the middle of this, it was Thanksgiving of 2022. It was like the night before Thanksgiving. They filed like a whole bunch of shit, and some of it was that they had a paid contractor whose job it was to monitor negative things about TST. And so the podcast that Nathan and I went on, it's called What's Left of the South Now. It used to be called
I like that podcast. I listened to it.
Yeah. Like they had like the transcript from it, and were like saying that like that was defamatory, but again they weren't specific about it. And it also like cut against their claims that like they would be fine with us saying anything, but not on their property being a Facebook page. But it was just like, again, there's kind of like throwing spaghetti against a wall. I think 2022 was also when TST's lawyer, Matt Kazaya, for whatever reason, went on fucking Reddit under his old account name and was like, I got to come up with some way to make this be worth $75,000 to keep it in federal court. Like, why would you write that down? Anyway, we did screenshot that and archive it and submit it. So it was useful to us. But it gets dismissed. It all gets dismissed again because they kind of like they fucked up like what they would have needed to do to like amend it again or whatever. So it gets dismissed from federal court in January of 2023. And I believe they appeal it to the Ninth Circuit Court then. And a few months later, they also file another one in state court. So now they have like 2 tracks going. Yeah. They also
never ending.
Indeed.
Well, I mean, and we do have a resolution, but I mean, I just can't imagine going through this for all these years.
And then in the middle of that, so after the first dismissal in February of 2021, we stopped being quiet about it because initially we just kind of just like kept our mouth shut, just thinking that like if we don't kick up too much of a fuss and just fight it in court, like maybe they'll let it go away, right?
Yeah.
And like, but when it became clear like they just wanted to hurt us, that's when we got loud. And so sometimes people, when you see us characterized as just like we just want attention, we won't shut up or whatever. It's like, well, because we tried that the first time
and it didn't work,
and it didn't fucking work. Yeah. And so we went out and got some coverage. There was a reporter who wrote about us in Newsweek in like October of 2021, and it was negative about TST, and they didn't like it very much.
That's Julia
at all.
Doing, right?
Julia Dean, I think you pronounce Dean.
Okay.
Like James Dean, but it's Julia.
Okay.
And and so they threatened and like they piss and moan about it. And in February 2022, they sued Newsweek and the reporter as an individual. So they're still suing us. They brought it back. They're suing the reporter now. And I will tell you that definitely made it harder to get news coverage in the future, was because like they were willing to sue a
major publication.
Yeah, over it. So like a lot of like smaller ones that might have like been willing to look at it. Like there were reporters that told us like their editors were like, nah, it's not worth it. Like it's not worth the threat that they would have to like deal with this bullshit. So in that way, I mean, that was a successful lawsuit for them. And we got pulled in to giving, it's not depositions for them. They asked us questions. We were interviewed for the Newsweek case. Nathan and I were in like November of 2023, something like that. Because that case was still going on. So we had to pay our lawyer for that too. And the appeal to the Ninth Circuit said some pretty nuts things. Like one of the worst things that TST tried to argue was that churches should be able to define what defamation is. Like if a church says that they're being defamed by a former member, then the court needs to stay out of it and just leave that to the domain of religions, which is a pretty fucking awful.
Can you imagine the Catholic Church or like honestly, that big of an organization?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I hate to keep using the Catholic Church as an example, but with the abuses within it and how big it is and the money and
that's the precedent.
Gosh.
That's the precedent that TST wanted to set for the Ninth Circuit. That's what their argument was. It didn't work. Their arguments also that like cyber crimes had happened because Facebook pages or websites. It didn't work either. Like they're like, this is a novel argument, which means it's a nice way of saying that it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think they were allowed to appeal one more time. The Ninth Circuit was like, we think the reasoning for the defamation dismissal earlier was not ideal or wasn't like sufficient. But if you specify what actually was false and defamatory against you, you can proceed with that aspect of the district court case, the federal district court case. But they couldn't because they didn't have anything. Like when given an opportunity to say like, this is specifically what is factually wrong and how it's defamatory.
You can fix it. Tell us how. Yeah.
Yeah. They just gave up. And so then we had just the state. So this is like January 2024 now. So then we just had the state case against us. And that one, we went to like arguments about it, oral arguments for it, and the judge dismissed the whole thing because it was bullshit. I mean, I don't know like what more you need.
No, congratulations, because what a ride. And
Exactly.
Newsweek had their resolution too. And
they did.
like,
and not. And so after all this, so Newsweek, so this is September of 2024 is when we get our ruling, and then I think it's October when they had a deadline to appeal. We thought they were going to appeal, but they didn't. So TST's lawsuit against us is actually dead and gone. We won.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Newsweek,
it has to be a relief.
it certainly is. Newsweek, I think it was March. March is when they got their full dismissal of their case. Like TST come up with like 20 claims of defamation, and like 19 of them were dismissed pretty quickly. One about whether there was sexual abuse inside the organization that had been covered up in ways that were more than anecdotal. That was like the specific claim that went forward with more stuff. That itself finally got dismissed in March of 2025. And we thought the case was over then, but TST, like when they had a couple of days left for their deadline, they did appeal, and they're trying to get Julia Dean, the reporter, back into the case as an individual, and they're also trying to like relitigate a lot of this stuff. So that case is not over like it should be.
Just the Newsweek side, but not Julia, because they're going after her personally as a reporter, right?
Yeah, they're going after Newsweek too, but they're trying they're trying to loop Julia back in. Julia had gotten like cut off from the case for other procedural reasons, like because they're suing in New York for this, and so Julia living in Washington State and writing in Washington State was kind of like off from that, and so they're trying to get her back in. But again, like it's they're claiming defamation, but all of the defamation claims are just bullshit. I mean, like the judge has looked at some of them in some detail. Like I think one of them was like, if you didn't want to be accused of standing with alt-right figures, then maybe don't stand posting photos to alt-right figures. Like it was that kind of thing. Like you did the thing. People saying you did the thing and having a negative opinion isn't a civil crime. You know, it's not a So
you did the thing.
The Satanic Housewife. The case of the Satanic Housewife represents a significant and revealing episode within the Satanic Temple's ongoing internal and public controversies. Known only by her online alias, the Satanic Housewife emerged as a vocal critic of the organization, particularly challenging the narratives surrounding TST's so-called satanic abortion ritual. Through a series of TikTok videos, she sought to clarify the realities of abortion rights protections, emphasizing that TST's ritual is not a legally binding or effective safeguard for individuals seeking abortions. Her videos push viewers to seek reliable resources and actual legal protections, rather than relying on TST's often performative activism in this realm. The critique disrupted the carefully managed public image of TST, which often promotes itself as a progressive and protective force for reproductive rights.
So this might get me some interesting comments on TikTok, but Do not give any money to the Satanic Temple to fight for abortion rights. And before you get angry, peep the name Satanic Housewife, okay? I'll post in the comments where you can find and verify everything that I'm going to tell you. In a recent court case for something else that TST is involved in, who can keep up at this point? Lucian openly admitted to taking the money fundraised for court cases and for abortion rights advocacy and using it to pay his personal bills instead. Aside from everything else, like the Satanic Temple suing former members to make them be quiet about the stuff they experienced while in the temple, about one of their chapter leaders being accused of sexual assault and TST kicking the victim out of the chapter, about how their head of ministry is really good friends with alt-right celebrities like Milo Yiannopoulos, or however you say that fuck's name. Or maybe about how some of their suggested reading has strong anti-Semitic themes. We're not even gonna touch on the Might is Right podcast that Lucian did. Don't give them your money. If you want to help abortion access, find a local abortion services provider and donate your time or money to them. Get involved in local schools and have sex education kept inside schools. Stock up on Plan B, even if you don't need it. Help people find, fund, and secure vasectomies and long-term birth control. The biggest thing I'm going to say is don't try and reinvent the wheel. Whatever it is that you're thinking of creating, I guarantee you that org already exists and they could use your support rather than your accidental competition. If you have questions about any of this, I am very glad to have the conversation. If you attack me in the comments, I'm very glad just to get rid of you and go on with my day. All right, we have to cover a couple more things about the Satanic Temple. Many of you are stating that you joined strictly to have your bodily autonomy protected, to have your rights to abortion access continued even if Roe v. Wade is overturned. What I'm trying to help everybody understand is that the Satanic Temple has no grounds to help you maintain abortion access. In fact, they've tried this previously and failed each time because they don't have standing. So while you might not have donated money, your support is convincing others that this is the thing to do to help themselves feel safe. I know that we all want to feel safe right now and that we're all desperately searching for a safe space. I don't know what the answer really is. I don't know what the solution is, but I do know that the Satanic Temple isn't the solution. And the more we're able to realize that, and the more we're able to help others realize that, the quicker we can figure out what the solution actually is.
In direct response to the Satanic Housewife's growing influence and social media reach, TST escalated the conflict by invoking legal pressure. Their lead attorney, Matt Kazaa, sent her an aggressive demand letter threatening defamation litigation unless she publicly recanted her criticisms. This retraction was not simply a statement of apology, but a carefully scripted admission dictated by TST, requiring her to deny any credible evidence supporting allegations of financial mismanagement, sexual assault within leadership ranks, or ties to alt-right ideologies. Under intense emotional strain, the Satanic Housewife complied with these legal demands, releasing a video in which she read the prepared script.
I don't even know how to start this video. I made a good faith effort to try to give y'all the information that I had that I thought was valuable for you to know. And now the Satanic Temple is threatening to sue me. This is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do for reasons that I can't even talk about. But here goes. The TikTok post I made contained many statements that are provably untrue. I regret having made the post and the harm it has unfairly and unjustly caused the Satanic Temple. I know of no credible claims that the Satanic Temple has ever misappropriated funds. The Satanic Temple's lawsuit against the Johnson defendants, who call themselves Queer Satanic, is over Facebook pages they admitted they stole from the Satanic Temple. I know of no credible claims that the Satanic Temple condones sexual assault or punishes victims of assault. I know of no credible claim that the Satanic Temple has alt-right ties. I sincerely apologize for my hurtful, misleading, and dishonest statements.
Despite this compliance, TST proceeded with the lawsuit, demonstrating a strategy of legal intimidation rather than conflict resolution. This paradoxical action underscored the intensity of TST's efforts to control the narrative around its organization and discredit dissenting voices. In a move that further complicated the situation, the Satanic Housewife published the email exchanges and legal documents related to the demand letter, revealing the coercive nature of TST's approach and fueling public debate about the ethics of their legal tactics. This exposure led to widespread public scrutiny and sympathy for her position, highlighting the risk whistleblowers face against powerful groups with substantial resources.
I don't blame you for not believing it or for asking for evidence, because that's what you should do about everything. So here you go. Here is the first page of the demand letter sent to me by a lawyer representing TST. I have, of course, blacked out my full legal name at the top, my mailing address. This whole bit in the middle here, that's all blacked out. That is a list of any possible email address they felt might be connected to me that they sent this demand letter to. This letter that has my full legal name, my full home address, also talks about Satanism. He sent it to complete strangers on the internet, people not related to me at all. When I wrote a response and said, hey, I feel really unsafe because you sent my home address where my family lives to a bunch of strangers, he told me basically, too bad, we don't use screen names in court. Didn't acknowledge it at all. Here's page 2. You're gonna have to screenshot and read it later. I don't want to run down the clock on this. And finally, page 3, telling me what to do with the new video. There are several emails that happened after this, going point by point, me providing evidence for what I said, such and such. I really hope that you read thoroughly this demand letter. More so, I hope you notice what's not there. My original video focused on making sure you understood that being a member of the Satanic Temple does not protect your rights to abortion access. Nowhere in this demand letter did they want me to take that statement back. My focus then, and my focus still now, is to make sure that you are protected in the event that you need abortion access. I want to make sure you know what is available to you and what isn't. Thank you for your kind words, for your messages. It's gotten me through an incredibly rough week, personally, aside from just this. To those that have messaged me with your own stories, my inbox is always open. Please reach out to me if you need help, if you need to vent, if you want to share your story. I'm available.
The scope of the Satanic Housewife's criticisms went well beyond the abortion ritual to touch on deeper systemic problems within TST. She addressed concerns about financial transparency, suggesting that leadership's handling of funds lacked accountability and clarity. Moreover, she brought attention to the unresolved sexual assault allegations against key figures, a topic TST has historically sought to downplay or dismiss. These issues, coupled with allegations of questionable associations and conduct by some leadership members, created a complex and fraught dynamic between the organization and parts of its membership and public. While some specific claims had to be retracted in legal proceedings due to challenges regarding evidence admissibility, the persistence of survivor voices and critics like the Satanic Housewife keeps these conversations alive within the community. Throughout this ordeal, the Satanic Housewife maintained a robust commitment to transparency and truth-telling. She made available to the public not only the demand letters and correspondence, but also the court documents that illuminated the details of the conflict. This openness turned her into a central figure in the broader struggle over free speech within activist organizations that purport to champion human rights. Her case exemplifies the personal and emotional cost individuals bear when confronting powerful institutional structures, especially those adept at leveraging legal systems to silence opposition. Ultimately, the saga of the Satanic Housewife highlights critical challenges in the quest for transparency, accountability, and survivor support in activist circles. It reveals how organizations like the Satanic Temple may employ aggressive legal strategies to protect their reputation and control dissent, and the attendant risk, such as approaches pose to open discourse and healing. Her experience offers a cautionary tale about the complexities and pitfalls of intersectional activism when internal governance fails to live up to publicly stated ethics and principles. This case continues to serve as a key study in understanding power, resistance, and the ongoing fight for justice within contemporary social movements. This is an excerpt from an interview I conducted with David from Queer Satanic.
So
well, and within this too, there's the Satanic Housewife too. They sued her.
Yes.
And hers is still going on.
Yeah, they also sued her in November of 2022. She had made 2 TikTok videos, I think in the spring. It was like April or May of 2022. And then TST sent her a series of legal threat emails, saying if she didn't record verbatim this retraction they sent to her, they would sue her. She did go and record it verbatim, but she cried during it, and that got...
It's heartbreaking.
It really is.
Have trouble watching it.
TST got more negative attention from that than from her 2 TikTok videos. You know, she was like a pretty small creator too. I mean, she didn't get more than like 30,000 views, you know, on TikTok. I mean, it's not much. And yet, after recording that exactly as they said, in like May, in November, like I think it was a day before Thanksgiving, it shows up that she's getting sued, and they're suing her for defamation and a bunch of bullshit. And that case has not gone forward as far as I can tell. It's not over. They just haven't pursued it.
No, I haven't seen anything either.
I believe she ended up leaving the state. This happened in Texas, and TST as part of this, you know, basically doxed her. They sent out like her email and her home address and all this stuff. And so she and her family moved out of Texas because they identified her as a Satanist and like, you know, called attention to her. And it's, I don't know, it's one of those things that's just like TST's owners, Kevin Soley and Doug Masicko, hate using their real names for stuff. And they say it's because, they're in so much danger. But like, first of all, you were the head of the largest satanic organization in the world.
Exactly.
When people do stuff and they want to have responsibility, accountability comes with that. So things like us being able to keep track of other corporations that you own, other things that you were like doing previously in the world, that should come along with it. But the other side of it is that like they have no compunctions about going after small people and like ruining their lives, especially their Satanists. They love going after Satanists and threatening them with like, I'll tell your boss about this thing that you did. Oh, here's your email. I'm going to publish like your home address. Like these kinds of things that they do really show that they just don't want scrutiny. It's not about danger.
No.
If it was about danger, why would they be publicizing after-school Satan clubs exactly when and where children are going to meet? And again, they're fine with people thinking that like Satan worship is happening there or whatever, right?
Right.
But Kevin Soling, the owner, the multimillionaire owner, doesn't want to have TST on his Wikipedia article. Like, I mean, that's
a very carefully curated Wikipedia.
Yeah. So like these are the kinds of things that they do. They're enemies. And unfortunately, lots of people still in TST are willing to justify it, apologize for it, go, I mean, I don't like it, but it's not that big of a deal. But then also, like, they don't demand accountability for the owners because they say, oh, but they're working so hard, they're in so much danger. And it's like, I mean, they made these choices and they could choose to do something else. The people they're attacking, they don't really have a choice when they're being attacked by TST.
How does that with the 7 tenets? There's the one tenet with within the Satanic Temple. I'm trying to think of which one it is. Basically like being able to freely criticize, or I'm sure I'm probably getting this wrong, but I'm sure you know which one I'm referring to with their slap lawsuits.
Yeah, the freedom to offend.
There we go. That's the one I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's this goes to show that it means fucking nothing. It is.
That struck me because I read that tenet and what it was about, and I was like, "What?"
Right. That's their we like hate speech one. I mean, they would disagree with that characterization, but when you look at what they've actually done, the freedom to offend others should be respected. The freedom of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own. That is how they justify like supporting neo-Nazis and Mio Yiannopoulos and Mark Randazza and all of these horrible people.
Invictus,
they say we're all about free speech, right? We're all about free speech, but they make people sign NDAs and they threaten critics and they threaten journalists, and like it's obvious. It is self-refuting when you look at what they actually do.
Abortion rights litigation, religious freedom, and legal hurdles. TST has launched numerous lawsuits to proactively advance its religious freedom agenda, particularly concerning abortion access. These cases, often referred to as TST's Religious Reproductive Rights Campaign, challenge state-mandated abortion restrictions. TST's core argument is that for its members, the act of abortion can be a legitimate satanic abortion ritual, protected under their religious beliefs and fundamental right to bodily autonomy. They contend that state requirements like sonogram viewing or waiting periods interfere with their religious exercise and provide a letter of religious exemption. To facilitate access, TST launched TST Health and the Samuel Alito Mom's Satanic Abortion Clinic in New Mexico. However, these lawsuits have faced significant legal hurdles and criticisms, primarily concerning standing. Courts in states like Indiana and Idaho have often dismissed TST's complaints. The article, The Satanic Temple's Religious Exemptions for Abortion Rights, is Not as Real as It Sounds, from Jezebel in 2022, further details these legal challenges and the limitations of TST's claims and practice. For its members, TST flatly claims exemption from abortion restriction in clinics like waiting periods and ultrasounds if they perform the religious abortion ritual, which involves looking in a mirror and reciting 2 of TST's tenets before taking pills or having the procedure. Its wording sounds pretty confident. Quote, the Satanic Temple has announced that its satanic abortion ritual exempts TST members from enduring medically unnecessary and unscientific regulations when seeking to terminate their pregnancy. To take advantage, TST offers a letter of religious exemption for members to show to medical practitioners, allegedly giving members legal grounds to circumvent abortion restrictions. Easy enough, that is, if the abortion provider honors the letter. If the provider does not, and a member still has to endure the restrictions before they can get an abortion, that member can email TST so as to determine the next steps of resolving the situation and deciding whether to take legal action. On May 5th, days after the leak of the draft opinion of gutting Roe, TST chimed in on Twitter saying it had positioned itself to protect religious abortion access for its members. It continued, writing that members in some states that ban abortion should be permitted a religious exemption if they performed TST's religious abortion ritual. TST also said it would sue the FDA to give it access to abortion pills. In effect, TST's messaging went beyond claiming that its members are exempt from oppressive state abortion restrictions, like waiting periods, medically unnecessary sonograms, and mandatory counseling prior to abortion procedures, to suggesting that outright bans post-Roe won't apply to its members. Its most aggressive framing on the issue yet. TST echoed their boldness on Twitter about 3 hours after the court overturned Roe, saying, "The Satanic Temple is the leading beacon of light in the battle for abortion access. With Roe versus Wade overturned, a religious exemption will be the only available challenge to many restrictions to access." TST's exemption language on its website might reassure people that they have legal backing if they do. TST has not explicitly told members that they are legally protected when ordering abortion pills, but it also has not officially addressed overly simplistic information spreading online that seemingly indicates TST's ritual will protect people having abortions. In a worst-case scenario, pregnant people in hostile states who order pills could get arrested if they seek care for complications at a hospital, or someone reports them to the police. The abortion seeker will have been thrust into the criminal legal system. The closest TST has come to outwardly acknowledging the risk is saying, quote, "We will likely have to sue those states to affirm our civil rights, but the law is clearly on our side." This article from Jezebel is good, so I have this is all quotes from it as we go along here. Denise Rodriguez, communications manager from the Texas Equal Access Fund, an abortion fund serving North Texas, said she's wary of TST promoting an unproven loophole, especially for people who manage their own abortion pills. People could possibly put themselves at risk for criminalization trying to do this, Rodriguez told Jezebel. TST encouraging people shows a lack of understanding or knowledge about how the criminal justice system actually can really harm a lot of marginalized communities. More than 1,300 people were criminalized for their pregnancy outcomes between 2006 and 2020, according to National Advocates for Pregnant Women. In fact, days after the Supreme Court let Texas's 6-week abortion ban take effect in September 2021, Rodriguez said TikTok was full of videos claiming that the TST abortion ritual was a way to get around the law. This genre of TikTok still persists, though some tried to debunk the information. Some publications framed it as the last hope for abortion rights in Texas. So TEA took to Twitter, quote, "P.S. The Satanic Temple ritual doesn't work to exempt you from abortion restrictions. Stop spreading that misinformation." Yellowhammer Fund, an abortion fund serving Alabama and Mississippi, also spoke out about TST. Imani Gandhi, a legal journalist covering reproductive justice, wrote in May that TST's legal efforts were actually harmful, adding, "The Satanic Temple is not going to save you." "I just want to make sure that people are aware about organizations that might not be good for them, like crisis pregnancy centers," Rodriguez said, and TST is kind of part of that. When reached for comment by Jezebel, TST's lawyer, Matthew Kazaha, disputed any implication that TST was tricking people into believing in rights that do not exist, and rejected the suggestion that people would join TST just to participate in the abortion ritual. TST's legal argument, he clarified, depends on the person having a sincerely held religious viewpoint. There's no guarantee on TST's website that the organization will provide legal counsel to members who use the abortion ritual and get into trouble. Members can contact a dedicated email address, but their options for actual care appear limited. Jex Blackmore, former spokesperson for TST's reproductive rights campaigns from 2014 to 2018, said that the ritual legally exposes people. Should someone attempt to use one of their exemption forms and face legal punishment, there is no guarantee that the temple or any other attorney would support or pay for the fees associated with their defense or resulting fines, Blackmore said in a statement to Jezebel. They are putting people at risk. TST's lawyer, Kinza, clarified to Jezebel that part of the ritual requires consulting with your local minister, a step that isn't mentioned on the temple's site or in either of its 2 guides on performing the ritual. And in the case of foreseeable legal complications, TST refers people to him for further evaluation and discussion. Blackmore added that TST has yet to prove that its religious exemptions will hold up in court. It's possible they could make headway in the future, but past efforts suggest that it is unlikely, Blackmore said. Liz Platt, an attorney and director for the Law, Rights, and Religion Project at Columbia University, said that, legally speaking, TST's religious abortion ritual is far from a slam dunk for members looking to avoid restrictions. If they're positioning this as some sort of done deal or something, an exemption that's already secured, that would not be correct, she told Jezebel. Reiner Platt was similarly suspect of TST's May 5th tweet that, quote, in states that outlaw abortion but grant exceptions for instances of incest and rape, TST members should be permitted a religious exemption to perform TST's religious abortion ritual. As she said, the word should is certainly doing a lot of work there. Beyond the legal purgatory, there's the matter of resources in the abortion rights space. They're desperately needed and woefully limited. TST is not only sharing information about its abortion ritual, but asking supporters to donate to its reproductive rights lawsuits and campaigns. 66 is a default donation amount, and 666 is another option, which is potentially siphoning money from, yes, abortion funds and clinics, but also groups that effectively strive to help minimize the legal risk of self-managing their abortions. While many abortion funds, including TEA Fund, publish annual financial summaries or top-line stats, TST is rarely transparent about how much money it is raising and how it's spending it. On June 10th, it announced that it had recently raised $150,000 to support its campaign efforts and grant members the tools to receive medically safe abortions. TST's October 2021 newsletter said it had raised $200,000. But TST doesn't publish this financial information on its site and has not filed Form 990s with the IRS, which it's not required to do since it's a church. Blackmore said TST owes its supporters more. As far as I know, TST lacks transparency in the form of public financial reporting, so it's impossible to know how donated dollars are spent, Blackmore said. If TST wants more funding, make them prove that they are invested in the rights of pregnant people seeking an abortion, rather than using them as an opportunity to turn profit with the leftovers from their frivolous lawsuits. TST lawyers said that any excess funds not spent on various litigation efforts would be used to support its members. Blackmore added that abortion rights supporters should instead donate to groups, quote, with a proven track record of success and whose funding directly supports those in need, like abortion funds. This is an excerpt from an interview I conducted with David from Queer Satanic. I mean, because they just opened up with what they named it after Trump, like that new clinic or whatever. But it's in a state where abortion's okay.
Yep.
Like it's legal.
Yep.
It's not doing anything. It's just another one that's okay. Maybe we don't know how many clients they'll serve there or whatever.
We do know because Doug said in his Substack they've served over 100 people. Now keep in mind, he said this month the Satanic Temple has, since opening its other two clinics, served over 100 people. So that means since I think February of 2023 in New Mexico and Virginia, they've served 100 people, more than 100 people. That is a damning indictment. Well, about 100. Yeah,
that is very ineffective. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and of course it tracks because we've seen. You can go and you can read different things like that. I was the very first person to publicly know that existed. No one paid attention to it. I tried to let news organizations in New Mexico know, but again, I'm just some guy. But because they filed in like November or December of 2022 in the Idaho lawsuit, I think it was, they got a chance to refile something because it was going to be dismissed otherwise. And they referenced their like abortion clinic in New Mexico. And I was like, hey, now that's new. So I looked it up.
Hey, now what are you guys doing?
Yeah, I looked up and saw the Sam Alito's Satanic Abortion, Sam Alito's mom, Satanic Abortion Clinic. And that was where I saw that the three names that were on there were for Doug Masico. So that's good. That's his legal name. He does own it. And also he's the only person officially listed on it in Massachusetts. So this is good. Now the problem, and it's bad, is that Lucian Greaves is also listed on that at a different address.
That's so strange.
At a different address than Doug Masico is. Oh, and also there's a third name. It's Malcolm Jerry. Not Kevin Soling. Malcolm Jerry.
Not Kevin Soling, his other Malcolm Jerry.
So you have two fake names. Again, this is not a pseudonym now. This is a fake name because you're putting it on a government fucking document. And a real name. And like if that ever went challenged the court, I mean, they would not have a business license. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but like if you are committing perjury when you are like filing government documents or registration documents, you're kind of fucking yourself. Like that's kind of the beginning and end of the whole thing, right?
Exactly.
And and they do it repeatedly. And I haven't seen what it is in Virginia. I should probably do that, or Maine. But like, if they just gave money to those organizations that are already there, that would actually be useful. You know what I mean? Like they have the Sam Alito's Mom's Satanic Abortion Fund. That would be amazing. That would be great. And give it to the make sure
they have national abortion funds that you can donate to help people, where they distribute the money where it's needed for travel or whatever for people crossing.
I would still be critical of it because there wouldn't be like financial transparency, but let's assume that we've solved that problem. TST is financially transparent and they're just like raising money with like that sort of thing. That would be great. That would actually be a great thing. But instead they said they spent and it's a suspicious amount of money. I think they said they spent $75,000 getting it set up in New Mexico for just a telehealth clinic. Really? But that was to like establish a financial amount to get standing in federal court. Who knows if that's true? And at that point, they were like, "Yeah, we've done 20 abortions or something like that." But that was like in 4 or 5 months. And again, like this is the same thing. It was just like, okay, so you're doing like 1 to 2 abortions a week is what you're doing with these like tens of thousands of dollars. That doesn't seem like it's actually the most effective way to help people, does it?
No, but people love it, right? Because you're naming it after Samuel Alito, and the new one, like whatever, the Trump name or whatever. So people are like, yeah, you're sticking it to the man.
Yeah.
Come on, people. What are we doing here?
How much money's come in? They can't say. How much money has been spent? They can't say. I can say some answers because I can read court documents about it. That's only assuming they're being honest there. And I don't know if they're being honest. I would love to see their books. If anyone is still inside, it still has access to their books, please leak them. Like, not directly to me. I don't want to deal with that. Like, please leak them publicly to, like, the Satanic Wiki or something, so that can be made public. Because I would just love to see, like, how much fucking money is it? The last time that I had public information for them, it was for Reason Alliance Limited, which was the first, like, regular nonprofit they had. And they were bringing in, like, $400,000 a year. This is back in like 2018. Like this is like before the Hell Satan documentary, you know? So I mean,
wow.
And that's like not even looking at like for-profit merchandise sales, which I assume have to be at least as much. I mean, I would assume they're running in revenue around like $5 million because when they get a membership, that's just printing money. You know, they're selling it for $35. It's just a
aesthetic Satanism pays, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And so I mean, I'm guessing it's like $5 million annually, but that is just a guess based on things. And it's like, what's their like, what are their costs? It's not really much, you know, like they don't have to pay lawyers much to make shitty arguments they lose, you know, like that's not that expensive. It's expensive, but it's not that expensive.
That is a fuck ton of money just for one of their, and we know how many they have. Like I said, it's like a shell game, very much like other cults and organizations I study.
TST in recent years purchased billboard space in Texas and Florida. One ad was simple black and white text citing maternal mortality stats, while the other depicted two 1950s women drinking sodas. The woman on the left asked, "You're telling me I do not have to endure a waiting period when I have an abortion?" The other responded, "That's true if you're a Satanist." Sure, theoretically, if you're a Satanist, if you're in your first trimester, if you're in a state that's enacted RFRA, and if you go through the correct steps of the ritual, including showing the exemption form to an abortion provider who will accept it, you won't have to endure a waiting period to have an abortion. But TST has not successfully guaranteed that membership will grant you a route around abortion restrictions. And there's definitely no guarantee religious exemption will help you overcome all-out bans. Stay tuned for the next episode.
We're going to have to be smart. We're going to have to be strategic. We're going to have to be aggressive.
I'm an alpha guy.
I'll flip a table every time you aren't getting by.
Let's go. Just push.
It's all psychological warfare.
We know what they are doing.
For Trump.
If shit goes wrong, like I will literally have to leave the country.
Stop that.
I'll land my initial plane.
Okay,
high
five.
This isn't
the
hi-fi show.
Good night. Nighty night.